To show how Russia is intervening in Ukraine and were used as evidence by US senators who were pushing for lethal aid to be sent to Kiev. They were given to American lawmakers by Ukrainian MPs. Only US journalist and blogger Dan Trombley noticed that they were in fact fake after he saw them in the Washington Free Beacon newspaper. RT's Lizzie Phelan has the details now of an incident which has left some red faces on Capitol Hill.
It appears that a senior Ukrainian delegation, which included members of the Ukrainian parliament, have presented fake evidence of Russian military presence in Ukraine to the US Senate's Armed Services Committee. Now, the evidence included at least 3 photos that they labelled as exclusive first-hand proof of a massive Russian invasion. The problem is, not only were those photos not exclusive at all, but they were taken in an entirely different place no less than 7 years ago. Now, let's take a look at some of them. So the first photo was taken in South Ossetia in 2008 and the second in Russia. Both belong to the Associated Press news agency. And the third is also clearly not exclusive at all, but has been stolen from Agence France Presse. And it shows anti-government forces there in East Ukraine. The senator which made those photos public is Jim Inhofe, a Republican from Oklahoma. Senator Inhofe's communications director said that these photos were presented to the Senate's Armed Services Committee, which oversees all legislation concerning the US military. And when the fraud quickly became public, the senator said that he was furious that the evidence had been falsified. Now, if we take a closer look at the Ukrainian delegation which provided this false evidence, we'll find at least 3 members of the Ukrainian parliament and many people directly involved in Kiev's military operation in East Ukraine. So the question is, why did they do it? Well, in the original article when the photos were published, the Washington Free Beacon said, and I quote, "The new evidence could help bolster the case on Capitol Hill for a new piece of legislation that would enable the US to provide lethal military aid to the Ukrainians who have been asking America for such support for months." Now, all it took was a quick Google search to expose this so-called evidence as fake. But like in the cases of Iraq and Libya, for example, what's worrying is that had the ruse succeeded, it wouldn't have been the first time the US had taken military action based on false premises.
Well, Senator Jim Inhofe, a central figure in the incident, also said he felt confident about releasing the pictures because they, quote, matched the reporting of what was going on in the region. Political writer John White believes Washington is doing all it can to support the idea of a Russian threat.
There is a policy agenda with regard to Russia, with regard to NATO expansion, with regard to the expansion of the EU, with regard to isolating Russia. And everything is tailored to fit that policy agenda, including the truth. So anything that can be done to enlist support, the key determining factor, of course, is public opinion, both in the UK and the US in particular, which has just had a decade of war. The public is war-weary, so they have to ramp up the demonization of Russia. They have to fabricate Russia's intentions and Russia's actions in order to enlist that support of public opinion when it comes to possibly intensifying the conflict, which I fear is we are in danger of seeing happen.